Week 15 of the fantasy football season. There's a few defense DST units I would start this week. The first one, the Houston Texans. What a ball game it was for them at the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously this is one of the better defenses in the league, is this Houston Texan DST. So the last few weeks for them, week 12 versus Buffalo, 19 points allowed, 8 sacks, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery. Week 13 at Indianapolis, 16 points allowed, a sack. In week 14 at Kansas City, like I said, a masterclass I thought in that one. 10 points allowed, 2 sacks, and 3 INTs on the great Patrick Mahomes. So this week a slam dunk matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals that give up the 4th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. And when you got guys like Anderson and Hunter rushing the pass, and Derek Stingley, one of the better corners in the league, these guys are going to go after it. They're going to go out there and make plays. And this week versus an Arizona team where Jacoby Brissett takes a lot of big sacks and he's prone to turning the football over more times than not, I think they could go out there, have a monster game this week. The next DST, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this week a slam dunk matchup versus the New York Jets coming in. And this Jet team, Eddie Cook possibly being the starting quarterback once again, where obviously we saw he had to come into that ball game last week where Tyrod Taylor left with a groin injury. And Justin Fields, he was scratched in that ball game where he was out. We'll see if he comes back this week. But regardless who the quarterback is, if it's Cook, Fields, or Tyrod Taylor, I think this Jacksonville Jaguar team, they could go out there and put points on the board early and often. And their defense the last couple of weeks is going out there and making plays for fantasy owners. Week 12 at Arizona, 18 points allowed, 6 sacks. Week 13 at Tennessee, 3 points allowed, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. In week 14 versus the Colts, 19 points allowed, a sack, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a safety. So this week, like I said, a great matchup versus Jets, 9th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. And once again, I think Jacksonville, they go out there and they put up a nice ball game. Next DST, the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seahawks, the best defense, especially the last month of the season in fantasy football. And this week, a slam dunk matchup versus the Indianapolis Colts, where we know Daniel Jones, unfortunately, out for the season, tearing the Achilles. And now it's going to be either Riley Leonard at quarterback, Brett Rypien, if Leonard can't give it a go, or even Phillip Rivers, reports coming out. He's meeting with this Indianapolis Colts team, possibly coming out of retirement at 44 years old. So I don't know if he would start right away as Rivers, but it wouldn't be surprising if he came in at points of this ball game, if it gets that out of hand. So week 12 at Tennessee, 24 points allowed, 4 sacks. Week 13 versus Minnesota, shut out in that one, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions, a touchdown, and a fumble recovery. In week 14 at Atlanta, 9 points allowed, a sack, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, a block kick, and a return touchdown. So now we've seen him go out there over the last 3 games and only give up 33 points is the Seattle defense. But they get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, anchored by Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, and have one of the better corners in the league in Tyreek Woolen. And this week, this could be a ball game similar to what we saw in week 13, where they caused 4 or 5 turnovers, and they could hold this team to 3 to 6 points total in this one. So with those factors, once again, Seattle a must-start defense this week in the fantasy playoffs. Next DST, the San Francisco 49ers. So this week, a good matchup for this 49 and DST. Tennessee coming in, and obviously we know they're one of the worst offenses in the league, giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to defenses on the season. I know Tennessee, they went out there, 31 points they put on the board in last week's ball game, but I still think it's not going to matter in this one, where San Francisco is coming off bye. And even with Bosa and Warner out for the season, they're going to go out there and create havoc. Week 11 at Arizona, 22 points allowed, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery. Week 12 versus the Panthers, 9 points allowed, a sack, 2 INTs. And week 13 at Cleveland, they took care of business, 8 points allowed, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. So this week, I think San Francisco, they're going to go out there, they're going to take care of business. Robert Saleh wasn't a good head coach, but as a coordinator, he's been a good coordinator, and they're going to get after Cam Ward early and often. And definitely a DST I would start this week in the final DSTs, the Carolina Panthers. So the Panthers, great matchup this week. They're coming off bye, as well with the New Orleans Saints, 5th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. Even though I would say this New Orleans Saints defense of the Saints has definitely been improved over the last few weeks. Tyler Shucks actually improving and making strides in this Kellen Moore offense. So the last few weeks for this Panther DST, week 11 at Atlanta, 27 points allowed, a fumble recovery. Week 12 at San Francisco, 20 points allowed, 3 INTs. And week 13 versus the Rams, 28 points allowed, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a touchdown in that one. So Carolina, their defense, a good pass rush, obviously. secondary, it's improving slowly over the last couple weeks here. But like I said, New Orleans, I know their offense is improving a little bit over the last few weeks, but I still think Carolina, they're going to go out there. They're going to get to the quarterback early and often, and this one is this Carolina Panther defense, and that could create some turnovers, even though, like I said, Tyler Shuck's been playing good football over the last 2 or 3 weeks here. But Carolina, definitely a DST I would start this week. So that's a few defense DST units I would start for week 15 of the fantasy football season.